Hello everybody, this is Make It Better, and today we're doing What If Deku Had Nightmares Part 3. I did another video, I did not like it, I'm gonna do another one. Exactly like this, with different stories, of course. Here we go. Right when Zuko was going to bed, Itami prepared his supplies for school. And let me change one more thing. Instead of being 5 years, it's 4 years. Because I was thinking it, and I think 4 years would be best. So 4 years has passed, and many things have happened. I will talk about it along with the story. Now for Zuko, after the 2 days of preparing and getting ready for school, he went over. Tommy takes him over to know the directions on how to get there, since he had his day off. Zuko complains about how early it was, but he slowly is getting to it, and Tommy is just happy about this. All the way to where they enter the gate. Tommy waves him goodbye, as well Zuko waves bye. He goes in and does his paperwork, as Tommy goes home and works on whatever extra work that he was planning on doing on that day. Now, for Zuko, Itami decided to not do it in the beginning of the year. Instead, in the middle of the year. So it will give Zuko a challenge of making friends on purpose. Now for Zuko, he's thinking of a question or an answer to one certain question they might ask. And he does not want to answer it the proper way, so he's thinking of something. Moving on to the next scene. There's a classroom of F.E. E class. Very bottom of the first floor. Okay, this high school or middle school will be like the 3rd year, so they have one more year in school before they go to UA, of course. Oh man, I can't remember correctly. Now, in the classroom, they're talking about, they're hearing rumors that there's a new transfer going to their class or their school. The guy is hoping it's a girl, and the girls are hoping it's a guy, and a very handsome guy on that. Now, as they're talking and getting a little loud, the teacher finally comes in. He tells everybody to be quiet, and here comes the kid, Zuko Midoriya. Sorry. He asks the kid to introduce himself, and he does. Zuko Itami. Hello. It's very nice to meet you. As the teacher was given strict instructions on not asking this kid for his quirk in front of the kids. He assumed he would be quirkless, and like most others in his class, but he didn't really care for it. He just tells the kid to go find an empty seat. Zuko did, and it was over in the window seat, almost all the way to the back, but not that far. My God, today's slow. Now, Zuko, after he took his seat, listened to the teacher, and it was very easy for him to understand. But why such at their class, and the teacher leads for their, discussions, you could say. Zuko got crowded by most of the students, and they were asking him many questions on where he's from, what school did he go to, why did he move at such a weird time of school, and many more. Zuko answered them vaguely or even halfway, and then answered another question. They thought it was weird, but they kept asking more questions, until one person asked, what is his quirk? And Zuko said, well, you see, I'm quirkless. Which half of them instantly walk away, showing distrust, no interest at all for him. Which now he gets why his father did that. He was, if he did it earlier in the year, or beginning of the year, school year, then he would have been friends with everybody, and most of them are not trustworthy. But the other half stayed and asked more questions on what else he can do. He's talked about some of his hobbies, and he also said that he likes going over to his father's work on the free time. They asked, what does his father do? And he said, well, he's a cop, an officer, actually. And they asked more questions, which are somewhat normal, but after a few weeks, it finally died down. Now, Zuko, during the first, the half of the year, he improved his social skills and was talking with a few people. These are going to be his friends. Now, after the whole year has finally ended and everybody was moving up to the next grade, his friends left because they're staying in the same classroom. But for Zuko, he was actually way better in his class work and gym work, that he's up into a nicer class, class B. He enters his room and sees there's nobody here knows him, so it'll be a fresh new start. He kind of misses his friends, but he tried to make some here. Throughout the whole day, he was asked many questions, and most of them was asking the one same question: what is your quirk? Because in this class, they choose friends depending on how strong their quirks are against someone else. And Zuko did not like this, so he just ignored them until they get their heads straight on. At the bed of my truck, I am driving. Don't mind that. Back on to the story. After a week of everybody learning what everybody is doing, hold on. And during those 2 weeks that have passed, Zuko was wondering why there's only 18 students in his classroom. He thought it was weird, but he asked the teachers, and the teacher blew him off. They didn't really care for him, learning that he was quirkless. But in those 2 weeks have passed, 2 students came in, and with another teacher, explaining that they basically got into a wrong class and needed to work out the paperwork for this one. Sorry for the mix-up, would not happen again, and they just dropped them off. Now they are one of the other classmates that actually know him, talked to them. But everybody was arguing into their friend groups and all of that, and these 2 really didn't care for it because they're already friends to each other. Now they sit to one spot, right next to Zuko, and one right behind that person. they're starting to talk during this point. And then, well, moving on to the next period. They asked for some help from anybody around them, and they all got ignored. But when they asked Zuko for help on this certain question, Zuko just point at the answer, and the guy asked, "But how did you do that? How did you?" And Zuko said, "Oh, you want me to show you how? Sure." And he showed him the problem on how to work it out, and they said, "Thank you." Zuko said no problem and went back to work. After a few minutes, the guy asked him what's his name. Zuko said, Zuku. And the guy said, oh, cool. My name is Kaminari. He's Zero. You seem different. What? You seem different. And Zuko said, okay. You said you seem different twice. Are you okay? And the guy said, yeah. I was going to ask you a question, but I thought it would be a little too impersonal about it. And Zuko said, yeah, sure. What's the question? And the guy said, well, are you the guy that's quirkless? And Zuko said, yes. What of it? And Kaminari said, cool! I finally get to meet a quirkless person. So, how do you go out with your daily life without a quirk? I want to know more about it. And Zero smacked him in the back of his head and say, shut it! It's just like us. We just don't use our quirks. That's it. Nothing different. I told you it's not... As Zuko said, yeah, like your friend said, it's nothing different. I don't have a quirk. Just think of it as not using your quirk ever, or ever knowing a power. As Kaminari accepted defeat and gave Zero $5. He really thought it was something else, but nope. Alright. I don't want to. I'll go home. Sorry. Now back onto it. After their little discussion, it was the next class period. This one where Zuko had trouble with, but the other two was actually great at. I'll say math. The other one was actually something else. It was like way too advanced kind of English that I can't even understand or explain. Sorry. Not really sorry. But Zuko asked them for help. Well, he asked everybody else around him, and they gave him the cold shoulder because they heard that he was quirkless and they didn't want to help him. But when he asked the other two, they helped him out. He greatly appreciates, and lunch came up. Zuko was gonna sit by himself like usual, but these guys offer him a spot to... What the heck is with this guy? Alright, golly. And offer him a seat. Zuko took this chance, sat with them, and that became their friendship. Zuko, Zero, and Kaminari. Now, later down in the months, they're starting to learn that Zuko is actually one of the smart ones. And after they teach him on how to do math equations, Zuko greatly appreciates, and well, he's starting to feel more safe with these guys than he did with his other friends. So bumpy on that fucking rail. Back on it. until there was a day Zuko now becomes very great friends with them, but only stayed and hang out with them during school. Until one day, there was a surprise test of physical and mental endurance. Everybody groans, even Zuko did, about this, but he was actually very fit with his, and no one knew about this. So, on the mental part, he got a perfect score, which the teacher was impressed that this kid knew the answers and wasn't able to cheat because he just come up with these on the spot. So he let it pass. He actually told the whole classroom the order of from failing to passing and showing how bad their classroom scoring is. And when he said the top 3, it was weird that the top 2 was down a level until Zuko's name came up, and it was the first place with a perfect score, and everybody's eyes were on him, especially the 2 that worked very hard and used their quirks to get those perfect grades. Well, better grades. One helped him with studying more efficient, and the other person can remember every single thing that they look upon. There were some new questions and new ways of saying it that they did not understand and got a failing grade. Well, less than perfect grade. Now over to the next scene in the gym. Everybody was tested like it was being tested over in UA, and Zuko was actually giving way better scoring than everybody else. And even the people that has strength enhancements or grip or greater grip, basically the basics of quotation marks power. But Zuko was actually doing way better than all of them. They asked him, how is he so good at all of this? And Zuko said, I train. He thought it was a stupid question, so he answered it like anybody else would. He just trains to become a great hero. They laughed at him for thinking that a quirkless person would be a great hero. You would never get into UA or any other high school. Zuko ignored them, but his 2 friends asked him, so did you really train? And what was your training regimen for make you this great and this good? As they complained that the training is too hard and so exhausting. But Zuko said, and that's how my father asked me what I wanted to do. I told him, well, become a cop, but he asked me to become of a higher platform. And he said, I don't know how far I can really go unless I try. So as long as I try my best, I'm happy with it. Now Zuko, after this moment, is starting to realize that these 2 guys are actually more trustfully than most of the others, which the others would have just ignored him by this point. Even his old friends did as well. So he did one more test on them. It was after school, and he asked them if they would like to go over and train. They agreed to it because it was getting close to, well, it was almost the 10-month mark. Zuko asked them how they train. They did their usual walking or running a mile, and then that's it for the day. And Zuko tells them, how about we just work out with me and see how that's like. He showed them how. They see how he's working so hard and actually working up a sweat, and afterwards go out and get something to eat. And they ask if he could help them train. And Zuko agreed to this. So a few months have passed. It's getting real close of that day. And Zuko is becoming very good friends with Kaminari and Zero. And Zuko finally decided to ask them one single question. Would you like to come over with my dad's work spot, workplace? And they remembered or asked, where did he work at again? And he said, over at the police station. And they're excited because they've never been into one legally. And so they agreed. Zuko said, great. After school. So they go, meet up, goes all the way towards the police station. He walks in like usual, says hi to the clerk in the front office, and he walks by and telling his friends to come over. As he does, he goes by to every single office, and they see Zuko and say, good morning, Zuko. Are these your new friends? And Zuko said, yeah. I'm gonna show them the thing. And they said, oof, you sure about this, kid? You know this would be the last chance. And Zuko said, yeah, I know. But I trust them. As he looks back at them, as they're looking at everything inside the police station and just admiring, well, everything. Zuko also tells the guys, the officers, I know how you guys are. Can you just place your bets now? As they do, saying that they will run away, they'll accuse him as a villain, they'll do all these other things, and Zuko put in his bet that they'll stay and ask more questions, but still be friends. Which most of them feel guilty that they will think of the worst, but a bet is a bet, and Zuko is cool with it. He's done it with many others, and they did not go well. He originally had 5, but 2 of the other ones never came to the police station, and the 3 that did never talked to him again. Now, when Zuko goes and tells them that he's gonna go into a cell and come by, as they do, there's a very well-known criminal on the other side, asking the kids, what doesn't a freak show you must pay the clerk? Try to be all, well, sick and villain-like, but nothing is working. They ask him, what are you going to show us? And Zuko said, well, I say over at school that I'm quirkless, but really I do have a quirk. As he pulled off his gloves, and they were in shock, well, surprised that they see nothing wrong with his hands. And the guy is like yelling at him now to tell him just to leave him alone. He just wants to get out of this jail cell. And very horror stuff adding on to when he gets in his hand on them. Which the guys are scared, and their initial shock fade away. And Zuko turn around, grab his face with his hand. In a few seconds, he passed out, awakens, starting to scream, and runs toward the other side, starting to dig with his fingers whatever quirk he has to help him get away from that monster. And he's saying this, monster, get away from me. And many more. Zuko put on his gloves and looked back to them and said, "And that's my quirk." And that's where I'm going to end it. Thanks for listening. Have a nice day. And this is, for me, dinner.